up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. So I'm back with another video for you guys. Now in this video, they're talking about why, or asking the question, why Dominican people do not identify as being black. So I find these types of videos interesting just to get different perspectives and where people are coming from and try to understand. And so that's why I'm bringing these videos to my channel. I hope you guys enjoy them. I definitely want you to chime in the comments, and I want to get your thoughts and your perspectives on this. So make sure you chime in. But let's go ahead and get into this video. Here we go.
A lot of black people in the Dominican Republic say things like, yo no soy negro, soy dominicano. Why are black people in the Dominican Republic trying so hard not to be black and or acknowledge their African ancestry? And rather than saying, yes, I'm black, I'm African descent, they'll say, I'm not black, I'm Hispanic. And sure, technically, because they speak Spanish, they are Hispanic, sure. But speaking the language of the Spaniards that took away everything you are, your culture, your ethnic identity, and your language, and then replace it with theirs, that doesn't make you them.
Now, you know what's funny about that? Because I saw someone, speak on Black Americans not having any culture, that we don't know, we can't trace our ancestry and things of that nature. But then there are other situations where the same is being done to a lot of those people as well. So, this is why I say too, you have to pay attention and learn from these other cultures. And not, I'm not quick to judge, but I do see things for what it is. And I will, speak on it and have an opinion on it. But I'm open to hearing what they have to say and try to understand at least, where they're coming from, because maybe there's a valid reason as to why some of these people think the way they think. At the same time, I think there is a contradiction in, when people are speaking on Black Americans versus, African immigrants or, Haitian immigrants or Indian or, Latinos, Dominican, all these people somehow, a lot of those people speak on Black Americans and try to distinguish themselves from Black Americans, but they have some of them have a history where their culture and things have been taken away from them as well. And so I don't know, it's just interesting to hear all this come out. But I definitely have seen it where Dominicans, they hate to acknowledge their African ancestry, or they don't like to identify as black, period. But yeah, let's continue.
We are not black. We will never be black. Yes, I look black, but we are not black. And it's just a reminder to Black Americans who are so pathetically forcing Dominicans to label themselves as black. When we keep telling them we have our own culture, we know black, papi, they still force it on us.
When the ones that actually claim their blackness, sorry guys, but some of you guys be like, I know black, I know black, I know black, imposible, I know black, I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, I know black, be looking just like me, be having the same hair, I be touching you like, it's not the same, it's not the same, it's not the same, papi, it's not the same. They try to salsa that off and be like, no, it's not the same. I know black, negro nunca, nunca, I know no, nunca, I know black. I'm like, no, you black, no, I know black. Dominica, I go, I know, but you're black. No, papi. I know black. No, black.
Oh, this the one. Because a lot of Dominicans, Cubans, and Puerto Ricans be trying to act like they are not black, or they try to act like they are a part of, like they have their own situation going on. You are black. I understand that you have your own culture. You may not participate in the Black American culture because you still have Dominican culture. We're not trying to take your culture. You still have your own culture in Puerto Rico. We absolutely love it. But you're black. Like, I don't understand why people get upset when we point out the fact that you still, like, I can't say the N-word on here, but still N-word is a thing. Anyway, also black people, I get really confused in our culture when we get mad at Puerto Ricans and Dominicans for using the N-word when they are black. And I'm just like, granted, they real bright. They're brighter than us. Some of them, because they come in all kind of shades, because they're black. Like, they can come in any freaking shade, any shade, shape, and color, because they're black. That's all. That's it.
You are black, Papo.
I'm not black, Dominican.
Papo, you're black.
I'm not black, Dominican.
Papo, you're black.
No, I'm not black, Dominican.
Papo, you're not Dominican, you black.
I'm not black, Dominican.
You Dominican and black.
No, because this is...
She said you're Dominican and black. What? But once again, I know, listen, this speaks to a lot. There are so many people who want to assimilate to white culture, and they want to downplay the black culture because it's a negative thing to want to be a black person, even though we all look the same. There are different shades of black people, with the really light, medium to dark. And even though we all look the same, they really want to make it known that they are not black. Let's continue.
So real, like so real. And honestly, I just want to talk about it. Like, let's just talk about it, because I was going to make a video, but I can tell I made a lot of Dominicans press my comments. So let's talk about it. So the first comments I want to address are the ones that are basically saying, well, technically we aren't black because we're mixed. I just want to make a disclaimer. I'm Haitian and I always get mistaken for being Dominican. People think I'm Dominican all of the time. The reason for that is the fact that if you go to the DR, most people are looking like me. So it's just so crazy to me how there are people in my comments who look like they could be my sister and are still denying that they're black in any shape or form. And don't get me wrong, I get it. There are people that are white or white passing in the Dominican Republic, so yes, technically, genetically, it would be incorrect to call them black. And look, I'm gonna be so real, like, there's a serious colorism problem, and I'm not even gonna just say it's in the DR, because it's in the Caribbean in general. We have our own set of issues in Haiti. We literally have names for different types of skin complexions in Haiti. It's so crazy to the point where even light-skinned people are divided based on physical attributes. So light-skinned people with Afrocentric features and curly hair are looked at a lower level than light-skinned people with straighter hair and white. So not only do we have a colorist problem, but now your features also contribute to how black you are and therefore where you're placed in the social hierarchy.
That's crazy. And it's not shocking. I'm very aware of that, but you know, when you start diving into other cultures and all that, you realize that they have major problems as well. It's not just Black Americans who have issues within our communities and in our country. Everybody else got issues as well. They're fighting some battles within themselves. They have colorism issues, you know, racist issues, views, and all of this. It's not just Black Americans who are struggling and having issues. All these people have issues within their own cultures and their own groups of people. But this is what we're seeing happening. Everybody is speaking on each other, and without having the full information or all of the knowledge in front of you about each culture. Everybody just have their own perceived notions about Black people, Black Americans, African Americans, all these different people. But there are certain things that stand out. There are certain things that we know, that we realize and recognize, and people just speak on it. And this was one of the things that stood out, in which I've heard this and have seen this before, that Dominicans don't want to be considered Black at all. But it's a lot of people that don't want to be considered Black. People darker than me don't want to be considered Black, but then have a problem with Black people, you know, distinguishing themselves from everybody else. That's all I'm saying. But let's continue.
So I'm not even gonna sit here and just say it's just the DR, because it's definitely not. But my point is that at the end of the day, we have the same ancestors. Haiti and the Dominican Republic were the exact same country. It was Hispaniola. That's what it was before it was the DR and before it was Haiti. The West African slaves that were brought into Hispaniola, they're the same slaves. So we have the exact same West African genetic makeup. We even both have Taino mixed in both of us. Haitians and Dominicans have Taino blood. Literally the only difference is that the Dominican Republic had a colorist dictator who whitewashed the country and made y'all more mixed. But that also doesn't erase all of your Black DNA and heritage that you had before that. And to be real, at the end of the day, I don't really care what people identify as. You could say you're a fucking tree for all I care. But I'm just saying, you can't erase your history. You can't erase your past. And for you to be so clearly Black and just deny it, it says a lot about your mentality and the fact that you're playing into this colorist mindset.
Yeah, that's
choosing to be anything but Black, because at the end of the day, Black is just seen as this very terrible thing and offensive.
Dominicans be like, I'm not Black. Meanwhile, the picture of their abuelita in the living room.
Do you want to know why most Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, particularly the Afro-Latinos, the Black Latinos, don't like to claim Blackness or African or Afrocentrism? You want to know why? Because when slavery was going on, The breaking of the slave was so horrendous in the Caribbean, you couldn't imagine. Not to say over in the United States and in the southern plantations, we didn't have our fair share of nightmares. Best believe we did. But in the Caribbean, it was a totally different beast. We were in the Caribbean in 1555, and we got f***ed up out there. Really f***ed up out there. They put up something called the caste system, which is racial hierarchy. Did you know that? Spanish people, white Spanish people, then people born in New Spain of Spanish descent, mestizos, basically Spanish and Native American descent, Native American, then African. So don't tell me there's no such thing as a race thing in the Caribbean. There is. There's colorism, there's all of that. There's also some things where they want to perfect the race, basically. Don't date anybody darker.
Right.
Or Africano or a Negro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we be careful of that. So that's taught in the Caribbean. Also, another factor is, because they're also very broken and suffering from self-hatred, what happens is, during the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, when a lot of people from the Caribbean were migrating, immigrating to America, what was going on in America at the time? Segregation, Jim Crow. The Civil Rights Movement was just starting to kick off a little bit. So a lot of our Afro-Latino brothers and sisters was witness what African Americans were going through, and you know what? They didn't want no piece of that. So to escape persecution, I'm Hispanic, I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican. That's how it came to be. That's how it came to be.
I'm gonna keep talking about this because if you keep sending me messages talking about you want Dominicans to be included when we speak about, you know, the Latin community and y'all want a seat at the table, okay, it starts with y'all. There are so many of y'all on this app to date, as dark as me and darker, still saying you're not black, you're Dominican. Dominican that's where you're born, okay? Your race is not Dominican. I'm not trying to laugh. That doesn't make any sense. So and I don't hold it against y'all because you've been trained and conditioned to associate anything black with being bad. You look at Black America, you be like, I don't want no part of that. You look at black people, period, because colonization truly has done a number on Dominicans in general, and you black, no. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really hold it against y'all. However,
and that's weird when you look black. For people who don't look black, maybe they could pass. When you look black, you know, darker than me, it's like, whoa, okay, you're not black. Oh, okay. You know, it's one of those. Let's continue.
You can't just be oblivious. We know lots of Dominicans, there's white, black, mixed, yada, yada, yada. But you cannot keep living in that land of delusion or associating anything black with negativity. Because there are more Dominicans that fall into the black category versus ones that don't. It's only a small percentage of Dominicans that don't look black. Pretty much every Dominican you meet, whether they're light skinned, medium brown, medium semi-dark brown, or dark brown, or black, they look black. It's not a bad thing. So correct that, and then maybe people will start to accept you more. I don't know, but you asked.
This is a conversation that we have to have because a lot of Dominicans do not want to hear this. In fact, when they are seen as black here in the United States, they say, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. And yes, as I mentioned before, I am Dominican. My mom is white and my father, it's not necessarily black, but close enough. This is my mom. She's literally white. And when she was a kid, she was also naturally blonde and she has green eyes. This is me and my siblings, and as you can see, I'm this one, and I was blonde. Here is a picture with my dad. This is me. This is me again with my siblings. And I was the only sibling who was kind of blonde like my mom. And as a kid, people made me feel as if I was more valuable just because I was blonde. Like I was better than my siblings. Like, oh, she's la rubia, you know, they used to say those things to me because I was blonde. And when my father would go out with me by himself without my mom, people wouldn't think that I was his kid. But yes, in Latin America and here, everywhere, whiteness the closer you are to whiteness, the better you are. That's what they teach us in the Dominican Republic, in Latin America, here in the United States. I would say that in the entire world. And that's what colonialism left us. Because especially in the Dominican Republic, remember that our history, we live in an island that we share with Haiti. And I would say that 99% of people in Haiti are black. In the Dominican Republic, I will have to go back to history to 1505 with the devastation of Osorio, where basically they devastated the part of the island that is now Haiti, and then the Spanish moved to the part that it's the Dominican Republic, and they were mixing with the slaves and the indigenous people. But the French, the Portuguese, and the people who came with slaves to the part that today is Haiti, they wouldn't mix with them. They brought their women. The Spanish didn't bring women, so they were having sex with slaves and indigenous women. That's why in the Dominican Republic you can see white people, black people, people in the middle. We're mixed, more mixed than they are in Haiti. And then our history, our independence was from Haiti. So there you have the history of Dominicans seeing Haiti as the oppressor, basically.
Let me ask y'all this. So have you ever met Dominicans who said they were not black? Let me know. I'm curious about that. Because some people are very vocal about it, and they'll tell you, and they'll say, hey, you know, they don't agree with it, or they do. But there are a lot of people who are in denial, and they don't care what you say. They just, you know, they don't care about the history. They don't care about what she's saying. They're just like, look, I know black. And everybody's hating each other over something that was not created by us. It's something somebody else put in place and have indoctrinated everybody into. But we look at each other and hate each other, and not the people who created it. It's interesting to me. We are more inclined to hate each other and not realize we have a lot of things in common when you really look at it. But we hate each other as opposed to looking at the people who oppressed us, the people who have, you know, created this cycle and this narrative and have caused us to think the way we think and divide us in the way that they have. You know what I'm saying? You know, if there's colorism and all this in all these other countries, and the same thing that's happening here. We have the same issue where white is right, you know, black is wrong. If you're light skinned, you know, if you what was the saying? The paper bag test we have here, that if you can pass the paper bag test and you okay. If you're darker than that, somehow you're not. You know, there's a lot of similarities when I think about it when it comes to colorism, racism, all of these things that help to divide us. But we will come at each other more often than come together and realize that there's a bigger picture that, you know, where if we would all come together, how we could do so much better. But there's a reason for that, in my opinion. But let's continue.
And then in Haiti, obviously, they have more black people than in the Dominican Republic. And then it's not only about blackness that is rejected in the Dominican Republic. They even see it as something patriotic about it. And then they reject the blackness not only because of culture, because they want to disassociate themselves from Haitians, but then when they come to the United States, they say that they're not black, even though literally we are descendants of Africans too. And Haitians are literally our brothers.
Do you think it's important to date inside your culture? When I was a kid, my mom didn't want me dating nobody out my culture. She wanted me to do straight Spanish people and everything. Fake black? I am black. You know, she didn't want me to. Yo, bro.
Oh, you Dominican. You're Dominican.
I'm Dominican.
That makes sense.
I know black, bro.
Yeah, me know black.
Chill. All Dominicans is black. All Dominicans is black. Don't do that. All Dominicans is black.
So I'm on the grounds of this resort. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'll do some B-roll to let you see what I'm seeing. It is absolutely gorgeous. But what's crazy is that we are here with a large number of pale YT people, and they are feeling themselves because of this election of Donald Trump and the craziness that's going on in the United States. And also the DR. The people here, they have a saying, I know black, I Dominican. I know black, I Dominican. And you could feel the vitriol. I'm not very sensitive to these kinds of things, but I pay attention to them. I said something, well, let me say it this way. I heard someone say something on TikTok, and she said what I believe is absolutely genius. She said that black folks are the envy of the world. And if we only realized who we were, we would see that there are people who feel a certain way about us, not because of who we are, but because who they know
us to be.
Mm-hmm. And that shocked my spirit.
Yeah, I agree.
Being here and seeing these people and seeing how they react or act toward people like me, who, you know, I'm just minding my business. You could see that they know who we are better than we know who we are.
I agree with that. And that's why the divide is so important. I think that's why the divide is so important. And to keep you from knowing your potential and who you really are is necessary. That's why the hatred is so real. And have you ever asked yourself, why are we hated so much? Why is everybody across the world hates black people? But we're also the most emulated. They like our style. They'll take our style, but they don't really want to deal with us. But why is that? You got to ask yourself why and think deep about it. It makes sense because they know who we are more than we do. And so this is why they hate us, and to make you feel like there's something wrong, but they know better. And this is why you don't want black people to have unity. You don't want unity because you know that scares them. If we all were really, really work together in any situation, we're always better together. United we stand, divided we fall. And there is always going to be divided because that's the way they keep us falling. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm not going to get too deep into it, you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Please chime in. What's your thoughts on this video? What do you think about what was spoke about in this video? I want to hear your thoughts on it. So make sure you guys chime in the comments below. Leave your thoughts, comments, concerns, questions. I definitely want to hear from you. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell to be notified when I upload new content. I want to hear your thoughts on this video. Keep the conversation going. I want to hear from you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.